This is an Eye on Annapolis bonus podcast.
I'll tell you, I love the Annapolis Library. I got a chance to walk around a little bit before our guest, who is Jeremy Browning, who is with Annapolis Pride today. But this library is fantastic, this new Michael Bush Library. And we're recording this the day before, the day before they're having the Human Library. Are you familiar with that, Jeremy?
Yes. Joe Chula in our chair is going to be a featured, quote-unquote, book in the library.
Is it going to be a book? You can check them out?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, for those that aren't aware, and by the time you hear this, that it's going to be past history, but look for it when it comes around again. And what you do is you're able to check out a person that is different from you. And it could be any number of different ways. They can be gay. They can be, just a female. I mean, if you want to know what it's like to be a female, they had a stripper at one point. They have I hate to use the term, but an undocumented immigrant that was able to talk and to be able to sit there, an ex-gang member, different thing, just really opens your mind. And when I participated in the last one in Odenton, you really sort of find that there's a whole lot more that connects us than divides us. And that really is a good sort of a segue into talking about Pride Month, which is coming in June, all over the world, I guess it is. And certainly Annapolis is having their 2.1 second one, Annapolis Pride Parade and Festival on June 4th. And Jeremy is the brainchild of Annapolis Pride way back when, and we spoke with him probably 3 or 4 years ago. And now here we are again looking for another great event coming up on June 4th. How you been, man?
So we've been really busy behind the scenes getting everything ready for this year's event.
Well, hell, you've had like 3 years to prepare for it. So.
Yeah, no pressure, right?
Yeah, the last parade that happened, and it was a smaller festival. It was, I think probably as with any first festival, you probably had no idea where this was going. Was this going to be a boom, a bust, somewhere in between? It was a boom in a huge way. And I got to admit, I had the same trepidations too. I mean, you're down there in Ward 1, which is the little puckered section of Annapolis, and what are they going to think when you've got this whole LGBTQ !+ community coming down and marching through their neighborhoods. And man, I was so proud of Annapolis to see them come out and just the crowds that lined the street to watch that, the different organizations, the businesses that participated. And I got to say, it wasn't the biggest parade. I think that still goes to the Irish Festival or the St. Patrick's Parade, but it was probably one of the best parades that I've ever seen, and I thank you and Annapolis Pride for bringing that to this town, because it's about time. Tell me about the one this year. What's on deck? I know it kicks off at noon and it goes the typical parade route, but it doesn't go all the way down to City Dock. It just sort of ends at Calvert Street, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it's going to kick off at noon. We're going to make a right from Amos Garrett Boulevard on West Street. And we're going to march down West Street, hang a left onto Calvert Street, and it's going to end at Calvert and Clay Street, right in front of the People's Park.
Okay, great place to be there. And and again, last year, you had so many different. Do you have any idea how many units you're going to have in there, or people that are going to be marching?
Yeah. So in 2019, we had about 55 marching units. This year, we have about 100 marching units. So we're almost doubling the event. And for the festival, we had about 75 vendors, and this year we're going to have over 140 vendors. So we're almost doubling the size of the event.
You know what, man? That first year really laid an impression on everybody. It is an event that you definitely need to be in touch with. Now, the festival happens after the parade. The parade kicks off at noon. It probably is going to go till 1:30, something or other like that. And then the festival is going to be sort of that first block of West Street. Is that going to be that again?
Yeah, so the festival is also going to kick off at noon, along with the parade, and it'll be the first block of West Street. It'll be the parking lot behind Ram's Head. So there's an alley there next to Ram's Head.
Right.
So we'll have it well marked so you know where to go. But there's an additional almost 40 vendors back there.
Oh, wow.
Then we'll have Citygate Park on the corner of Calvert and West Street. And then we'll also have the People's Park and then a surface lot next to the Arundel Center across from the People's Park. So that's how we were able to double the size of the festival.
Okay, that empty lot across from at the Rundle Center across from the People's Park. I mean, that's the county. So I mean, the county is all in on this. I know Visit Annapolis and Anne Arundel County is one of the lead sponsors. I was looking at the list of your sponsors, and you've got Greenpoint Wellness, which is
a medical dispensary up in Linthicum.
Yep. Liquefied Creative did a wonderful job on the poster and the logo and everything else that went there. They're great there. Visit Annapolis, I mentioned Collins Aerospace. I mean, and there's that's the old Air Inc. out there on West Thing. I know M&T Bank is in there as well. They were there, I think, last time as well.
That's correct, yep.
There's a realtor, Chad Robertson. I'm not sure what agency he's with, but I saw that he's in there. What's it like for you when you birthed this idea of doing this parade in a town? And the last time we talked, you said it was just very difficult growing up here, and the non-acceptance and everything else. To see this open arms, I mean, what's that like for you?
It's huge to see the whole community coming out, or a large majority of the community coming out to support our LGBTQ youth, adults. It's really impactful. And I think, when I talk to people about the 2019 event, the words that come up over and over are joy, love, acceptance, belonging. It was just really emotional to see all those people there out supporting our community.
And what I happen to notice on that one too, and I am not a member of the LGBTQ, but I am certainly a supporter and what's it? Not
ally.
Ally. That's the word. I knew there was an A word for that. But I think that it was wonderful. I mean, this was a family event. I mean, I didn't know whether I would see people grabbing their kids, running, saying, "Oh my gosh, look, there's somebody dressed as a woman," or anything. And it was just so great to see it. I mean, you did have some drag queens in the parade. You did have, the flags were everywhere and everything else. It was just, and those words that you said, the joy, the love, the acceptance, were all abundant in the air, along with everybody's sweat. I mean, it was a really horribly hot day, if I recall, for June. That was late in June, wasn't it? Wasn't like the end?
It was June 29th.
Okay. So it probably deserved to be hot and sweaty by having it there. And then, of course, obviously, the pandemic hit, and it just wasn't going to happen. I think even last year you planned it for a September, and then the new variant started to come around, and it was like, well... Yeah,
we had hoped to celebrate in person in October, and with COVID rising...
Oh, that's right. It was right before Halloween.
It was on Halloween. It was scheduled for October 31st, but we didn't feel comfortable holding the event with, where COVID was and vaccinations at that time. Kids under 12 were still not able to be vaccinated.
True.
Yeah, so we just didn't feel comfortable holding the event.
Right. Well, Jeremy, you are... And I don't know whether you like this term or not, but somewhat of the face of the LGBTQ community in Anne Arundel County, or Annapolis anyhow. I mean, you started Annapolis Pride 7 years ago?
No, 2018.
4 years ago.
4 years ago, yeah.
I'm counting on my fingers. Nobody can see that because we're recorded here. But, you had mentioned that it was, difficult growing up and, getting the acceptance and everything else. And I see as we are, even if you look at the racism that we're seeing and that we're fighting, that we're struggling with the African American community, we have come a long way. There's plenty of room to go as well. And I mean, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. We've come a long way, but we have a long way to go. And we want to help educate the community about what it means to be anti-racist. If you're saying you're quote unquote not racist, being neutral is siding with the side of the oppressor. So we're really trying to educate people on what it is to be anti-racist. And, to be anti-racist is to acknowledge, what is a racist idea versus what is a anti-racist idea. And you want to look at, when you're making a policy or a procedure or something like that, you have to look at not only the intended outcomes, but what are the unintended outcomes? Who does this help? Who does this hurt? Because sometimes, a well-meaning policy overlooks, those things. So we want to help educate the community. It's actually in our Pride Guide that Liquefied Creative made is our anti-racism policy that really clearly defines what that is. So
it's amazing that you see. I mean, I know Annapolis Pride went from non-existence to very active. We just spoke that you had the proclamation party, which was whenever there's an event in town, all the politicians come out and they want to give proclamations for, hey, thank you for doing this, thank you for bringing, the joy and everything else to the city, and so on and so forth. So you had that. You do meet monthly, I believe, right? For organized meetings. I know Graduate is sort of your.
Yeah, the Graduate's our host sponsor, and they have been very generous in holding safe space for us, and they always put out food and there's fun games and things like that. But yeah, the city and county have been strong partners with us in helping create a more safe and welcoming community.
Well, I know that you last time we talked, you were somewhat lamenting the fact that there was no real place for the LGBTQ community to go and gather. I mean, gay bar, whatever you want to term it. Has that changed, or is that changing? I've heard rumors that there is a an LGBTQ targeted bar or restaurant opening up, but I haven't been able to sniff it out. Maybe you can.
Yeah, so we still don't have sort of our own physical space that's like a dedicated LGBTQ bar or place, but we definitely have a lot more safe spaces than we did before. We have, for example, our libraries where we are, the Anne Arundel County Public Libraries have really embraced the LGBTQ community.
I love that they have smacked down that whole drag queen story time controversy, and it's a non-issue anymore. I don't believe. I mean, I have not heard peeps out, but I mean, people finally said, okay, it's fantasy. It's a guy dressing as a woman telling a story. I mean, it's not. When they were going with the indoctrination and everything else, and I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was a flashpoint, and it continues to be, around the country. And thankfully, in this county, we have a very supportive library and other institutions that realize that that's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
yeah, and it's sort of like with the Don't Say Gay in Florida, that somehow if by talking about it, you're going to turn your kids gay. Well, I saw lots of heterosexual families portrayed in media and TV and school, and I didn't turn out heterosexual. Right. To think that seeing a gay couple or lesbian couple or a transgender or non-binary person is going to turn your kid into that is just crazy, because that's not how it works.
It is ridiculous. It's by all, I'm a registered Republican by all rights. Living in Annapolis, I should be a very far left Democrat. I mean, but I'm not. So you're absolutely right. Can you address any rumors about an LGBTQ business that's opening up? Do you know anything about? Have you heard that as well?
I know that Andrew Parr, who won a competition or a couple of competitions from the
Anne Arundel Community College, right? He's got the pop-up that's doing at the festival.
Yep. So he's going to do a pop-up on Sunday called Unmuted Beer Garden, and there's details about that on our website. I think part of his ultimate plan is to create that space in Annapolis. So if there's anybody that's interested, you can track down Andrew Parr.
We just had a story on him. He just won actually, this is the second year of winning some cash out of the Anne Arundel Community College's version of Shark Tank. I mean, did you find most places Annapolis is a pretty liberal town. It's pretty accepting. I mean, and I realize that you probably didn't feel home and, take my shoes off, put my feet up on the table comfortable in places. But do you find that, are there places in town that are not comfortable for the LGBTQ community? I'm not looking for names, but are there?
There are a few, but they're 90 to 95% of places. At least I feel comfortable. I know that's not the case with everybody.
Sure,
and I'm grown, in my mid 30s, so I think there just depends on what other folks' comfort level is. But there are places that even now I'm like, that's not a place I feel safe going to.
Yeah, I find generally, I'm on Reddit a bunch and the Annapolis thing, and periodically somebody will come up and say, hey, are there any good gay bars or anything like that? And the answer is typically the same. Well, no, but you're not going to feel ostracized in most any place that you go. There's some that are a little bit more, we'll say, accepting. And that would be the chic kind of, you look at like the Tsunami and the Lemongrass, and I'm not just picking on Gavin's restaurants, but, the ones that, more toward the younger crowd and everything else. And I love that, well, my kids are, my oldest is probably about your age, but as my kids get older and as I see the younger kids coming up, the acceptance and the who cares attitude from them, and I say that in a good way, is so refreshing. Not, so do you have a black friend? Oh, do you have a gay friend? Do you have a, it's like, who cares? What's the matter? I've got a friend. End of the conversation, period, hard stop. And, it takes a little bit of getting used to from an older generation, for sure. But I think it's just refreshing to be able to sit there and see kids just so accepting. And I know that is, to borrow the song, but that is our future, which is very, very refreshing. They're the ones going to be buying my and your diapers at some point.
Yeah.
At some point. Yeah, I know it's funny you talk about how Annapolis and they've evolved. Artwork. You look at, Gavin did his art on Tsunami, and that created a firestorm that led him into being the mayor's office. And now there's murals that are popping up all over, and they're not bad. It's a good thing for downtown. And I think that Annapolis Pride and the acceptance of the community is following along that trajectory as well. I know way back when I owned several travel agencies, and I wanted to bring up some. Now this is okay. So put the date here. This is probably back in 1997, 98. I wanted to bring a bunch of drag queens from New Orleans up for a Christmas party because, long story, but I was getting back at my staff for a prank they pulled down in New Orleans, which sort of backfired on them because I had a blast. But so I was going to bring up these, the drag queens to do it. And I said, Annapolis is a little bit puckered. I better check with where I want to do it. And I could not find a single restaurant that would allow me. And I'm like, they're going to be staying out by the mall. I will drive them in, have them driven in. They're going to do their show in the private room, and they're going to leave. Now, what they do after that, I don't know. But that's what it is. I said, they're not going to bother any of your other guests or anything like that. And I'll name names, but it was Chart House said no, Buddy said no, the Maryland Inn said no, and we didn't do it. And it was shortly thereafter, about 6 months or so, there was some kind of an article in the paper with like shop at home sex toys on like B1, one of those, Tupperware parties. And I was like, wow, Annapolis is really going. I remember when Gavin first opened Tsunami, he tried to do a human buffet brunch type thing, something or other, where he'd put like a naked body draped with, and there'd be like sushi on and that didn't go over too well. I know that initially they tried to do some drag brunches, and that also didn't go over too well. But now you look when Ram's Head does it, and you look what, when Fado was here, they did it. There's over at the mall has done it. You can't get a ticket.
They're all sold out.
Yeah, it's like, gone. And my daughter is just a fan of, she's down in Wilmington, North Carolina, and she's just such a fan of it. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful how far we've come. What do we need to do to take it to the next step?
We have to continue supporting. It's not a one and done. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So there's still a lot of work to be done. And, Annapolis Pride as an organization is growing, and we need the community's support. We're going to be releasing a new strategic plan soon, and we're just wrapping up that through 2025. And it's really going to need the full community's support to realize that plan. We have to better leverage our partners to help provide resources, provide training, education. We need certainly financial support. Annapolis Pride is still 100% volunteer run. We really hope to have paid staff that can help do some of this work and coordinate resources. Outside of the medical system, I don't know of any full-time or part-time LGBTQ coordinators or staff that are paid, that have allocated hours for LGBTQ resource coordination or anything like that. So Annapolis Pride and other advocates are really pushing for positions in these different county institutions to help coordinate resources, help advocate for resources, having navigators that can help community members find the resources. We do have a resources page on our website, but we need to make sure that we're continuing to build that out.
Well, that's great that if you're going to the website and they're there, and then everybody should go check it out. It's AnnapolisPrideorg. There's nothing funky about the spelling of anything there. And, again, you look at some of the larger companies that have the navigators, have the advocates that are on staff, which I think is just, would have been unheard of, 20 years ago, which I think is phenomenal. How big is the membership of Annapolis Pride at this point?
So we don't have like a structured membership program, but we do have over 12,000 social media followers. We have, and they're active and engaged, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
So that would be members of the LGBTQ community, allies, et cetera, right?
Yeah. And then we were just looking at our analytics for our website last night, and since the website launched, we've had 44,000 unique visitors to the website since it launched in 2019. And even 20,000 unique visitors this year. So people are going to the website, they're going to the different pages, they're looking at not just the stuff for the Parade and Festival, but they're looking at the resources. Our event page now, you can submit an event. If there's an event for the LGBTQ community, you can submit it to our community calendar. So that, I just looked at it yesterday, it has over 65 events in the next couple of months on that calendar.
And that's just from a small book club type thing to a larger.
Yeah, that includes, there's happy hours, there's a walking, running club, there's book clubs, there's story times and things at the libraries.
You mean you guys do like normal stuff like normal people?
Yep, we just
you
we
like
go
read
to
and
coffee.
walk and have happy hours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, who knew? This is fabulous.
But when we invite all of our community members and partners and businesses, if they have an event that's for our LGBTQ community in Annapolis or Anne Arundel County, to please submit it to our calendar. There's no cost. We want to be a clearinghouse for all the resources and events in this area.
That's awesome. What do you say? I mean, there's a lot of people, and I know quite a few people that have lived their life in the closet. And as adults said, the life that I've been living is not for me. And I think that's probably very similar with a lot of the transgender people that are, as children know that they're, this is not who I am. Do you have any idea of how to ease that? Because as I think about that, and it was actually got me thinking on a woman that made a transition, and I was like, how horrible, and I can't even come up with the word, it must be to live a fake to you life.
Yeah.
And everything is a farce.
I did it for 22 years, so I know it. It's something that you spend the rest of your life unpacking, because you present a version of yourself that you feel is acceptable to the world. So then when you finally get to a place where you feel strong enough and comfortable enough to come out and be your authentic self, then you spend the rest of your life kind of figuring out, okay, which parts were really me and which parts was I just trying to present to stay safe or whatever.
And it's probably a mixture of all of them. I would imagine that, there's little shades of it. But, I wish there was an easy way, because, you hear about that and you hear about how traumatic and it is a trauma, whether it's a transition or whether it's, going from what people perceived as straight into gay or whatever it may be. I just wish there was, an easy way, and it is getting better. You see the videos on YouTube where the son decides to come out to his mom, and mom's like, well, duh. Okay, I knew that. And that's beautiful when you've got your support there that is there between you. And I guess that's the critical thing for anybody that's going through any of this, is to have the support of your immediate, posse, if you will, as well as the greater community at large. And I think we've really leaps and bounds. We've done a lot of leaps and bounds, and we're ready to take those next steps.
Yeah, and that's really, what Annapolis Pride's been working on for the last 4 years, is trying to make sure that everyone feels safe and welcome to live as their authentic selves, in this area, in this community. So by increasing visibility and awareness, by providing access to resources, by advocating for supportive policies, those are all things we're doing to help do that. But my hope is that when they see the success of the 2019 Parade and Festival and this upcoming Parade and Festival, that they'll say, oh, like, this is a supportive community. I'm not the only one here, because I think a lot of us, especially before social media, before internet, you felt like, wow, I'm the only one. Like there's something wrong with me.
Sure. 300 million people in the United States, one gay guy, and it's you, right?
Yeah, like, wow.
There is obviously strength in numbers, and I think that, I mean, you look at that, that's in elementary school class. I mean, nobody wants to be the first one to raise their hands and answer a question because it, could be wrong. So other people raise their hands, and you're like, okay, I'll raise it a little bit, and then, and then at one point you're like, oh, and that's the point where you're comfortable and you know who you are, you know what the answer is, which is, pretty incredible. We need to do more work. We definitely do. AnnapolisPrideorg is the website. Again, go there for the resources. So if you are a member of the LGBTQ, or actually the question mark that they've added to the end of that, it's like STEAM. It used to be STEM, and now it's STEAM. They added arts in there. They keep adding another thing on the end of that. But check that out. There's a lot of resources that are there. Participate. Come out, and it doesn't matter whether you're a member of the community, whether you're a member of the larger community, or an ally, or whatever it is. I mean, this Annapolis Pride Parade and Festival was such a great family event. It was undoubtedly, and come on out and cheer on everybody that's marching. June 4th, noon. Look at the vendor. Check out the different goods that are available to be sold there, and really check out the churches, the organizations, the companies, and the businesses that are participating in the parade, because that's going to really give you an idea of where we're going, I think. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I agree with you 100%, Jeremy, that we've got a lot of work to do. And, other than coming out and sharing the parade, I mean, obviously we can donate to AnnapolisPrideorg. You are a nonprofit?
That's correct. Yep, 501c3 nonprofit.
Cool. So you've got your tax deductible contribution. I'm sure anybody, you can look for sponsorships. I don't know whether your parade is closed out at this point, but certainly you can sponsor the organization throughout the year or any of the other different events. If you are, there's a zillion opportunities for sponsorships, and if you've got a hole burning in your wallet and you need to get rid of some money, I mean, they're going to find an event.
That's right.
That will be the sponsor for you. Speaking of events, and I know it wasn't Annapolis Pride that did it, and I don't remember the name of the organization, but it had a family sort of pride day at the Mayo Beach Park.
So, yeah, that was Chesapeake Pride. Yeah, I know they still have a Facebook page, but that was, sort of like the original Pride celebration in this area. And by the time I had come out, I don't think it was still going on, so I never got to attend myself. But, those were the advocates that came before myself and the other Annapolis Pride board members. And from what I hear, it was just a really amazing family event, held at the beach in Mayo.
Oh, it absolutely was. I sponsored it for a couple of years with Ion Annapolis, and it was just, I was so proud to sponsor it. It was awesome. And again, the same words that you see at the Pride, the festival here in Annapolis, you saw the love, the acceptance, and the caring. It was just so abundant there, much more so than you would see at any other festival. And it was a great event. So put that on your radar if you ever want to do it. That could be resurrected easily enough, and I bet you it's a great little park down there with the place to do that. I think that might be kind of neat. Any other ways that we can support Annapolis Pride and the LGBTQ community?
Yeah, absolutely. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. It's just at Annapolis Pride. You can find our accounts. So we
no TikTok?
Not yet. I might be a little too old to be creating the content. But if we had somebody that wanted to help us create TikTok.
Hint, 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 hint.
But if you go to our website, AnnapolisPride.org, and you find the Parade and Festival page, we have all the information about the event, and we'll be adding more information as we get closer about the vendors, a vendor map, parking, everything you need to know about the event. We have information about sponsorships, volunteer opportunities, a page that has information in Spanish. So please go to the website if you're looking for information. It's just about Annapolis Pride or the event itself.
Awesome. AnnapolisPride.org is where you want to go. And I appreciate your time again. As always, congratulations on what you've built. I know that you were the founder of Annapolis Pride, and before we started recording, I sort of said that you've got to be a little bit proud that it has grown to the level where it is, and not that you're stepping back, but you've taken on different roles within the organization, not necessarily getting it out of the ground and off and running, which you've already done. And as the organization has evolved, it has a board of more than one, I guess.
Yes, we have 15, and we're actually recruiting new board members. So right now, Joe Tulin is the chair, and he's doing a fantastic job. But if you're interested in board service, if you go to our website, if you find our board page, there's an expression of interest form. So we are looking for new volunteers and board members. So please check that out if you're interested.
You said the board's 15?
Yep, we have 15 total board members, and they're all
okay.
listed.
That's manageable.
Yep.
Well, if you are interested in a board position, it's all there at Annapolis Pride. Lots of information, lots of resources for you. If you are, looking for those resources, they're there. If you're looking to support a great organization, a true grassroots organization here, it's a great one to support. And I can't wait for the 4th. I can't wait to see the colors, the noise, the screaming, the makeup, just everything that was all about that parade 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, and to have it redone again, I think it's going to be a fantastic day. I've heard that it's going to be sunny and not quite as hot as it was last year, so that's a good thing. No rain. So thank you so much for your time. And if did we miss anything?
So yeah, we have a couple other things that are happening at Pride this year that's really exciting. You can actually get married at Pride this year. So if you're interested, please reach out to us and we'll connect you with the right folks. But if you want to get married at Pride, we're
how's that going? What are you working with, like Scott Poyer at the?
Yep. So Scott Poyer will perform the ceremony right there in the People's Park. And so if you're interested, reach out and we'll get you connected.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What else is new? Okay, so obviously, what other surprises do you guys have up your sleeve?
So we're going to have a whole bunch of music and entertainment. So at the festival, we're going to have L. Rogers, Honey Soul.
Honey Soul's good.
Joe Keys and the Late Bloomer, which is a kind of like a funk jazz band. That's going to be really cool. We have C. Rafter, Ron Shea Clark, and Mega Youth Dance Troupe. We're going to have DJ Simon Lopez and many more. And a lot of our other local businesses are going to have entertainment. So definitely check back on our website and social media for the full list of entertainment. The Graduate's going to have DJ Dirty Panda for their block party, and they're going to have drag performances from Shauna Alexander, Jayla Nicole, and Candy Fuentes. Very cool. Yeah. Very fun. Going to be a fun day in Annapolis. Dare I say it's probably one of the more fun days, probably the funnest day in Annapolis, I would imagine. Lose your inhibitions, come on down and just pull up a chair, have a great time. Music the whole way around. It's going to be a great time. I can't wait. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
This has been a bonus podcast from Eye on Annapolis. Please visit us at eyeonannapolis.net. Follow us on Facebook at All Annapolis and on Twitter at Eye on Annapolis. And if you haven't subscribed to the Daily News Brief podcast, go for it. And all of your local news will be delivered to your phone, tablet, or smart device by 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday.